Interesting story in the Times.
I love this story.
About couples having rows and being hungry. Apparently, next time your spouse is arguing with you, tell them that they're hungry.
Because that's really going to help.
Yeah, because apparently if your blood sugar's low, you're not angry, you're hangry. Scientists in Ohio State University had a funny way of proving this point. They got 107 married couples, and every morning and evening they tested their blood sugar levels.
Yes.
And then before going to bed, they went into separate rooms and they were instructed to stick as many pins as felt appropriate, up to 51, into a voodoo doll of their house, of their husband or wife, and to record how many they'd used.
I'm not sure they needed voodoo dolls to do that, to be honest with you.
Really? I mean,
yeah, it does.
Have you ever felt like sticking a pin into your... No.
Does that explain all arguments then? So if maybe if you work with people that you argue with now and again,
have a biscuit.
Because I've already had my breakfast, so it's got to be real.
I am going to be bringing biscuits in all the time now, I think. Pay rises. We're talking about wages today because we've got the inflation figures out later on this morning, and it'll tell us whether pay is starting to go up faster than the cost of living. That's what a lot of the papers are talking about this morning. Good morning. In the Daily Telegraph, it's saying that a sixth consecutive fall in the rate of inflation is expected to herald the end of the prolonged squeeze on real wages. So this is, of course, saying that the rise in the cost of living is going expected to be down a bit again, and average wages are expected to go up a bit. So not by much, to be honest, and there's still a lot of people out there who I'm sure will feel like things aren't getting any better in terms of their pay. But what they're saying here is it is starting to make a bit of a turn. And I know whenever I talk about that, I always get lots of messages from people who say it doesn't feel better yet. In The Guardian this morning, Facebook are in here. A picture of Sheryl Sandberg, who's their Chief Operating Officer, and talking about they're preparing a money transfer service in Europe. So in other words, they're looking at maybe getting into the financial sector, offering money transfer and also the option of storing money with the social network site or buying items online. So quite a move for them. I'm going to be actually interviewing Sheryl Sandberg tomorrow as well. I'm going to be going out to meet her in Dublin. She's visiting some businesses there, so I'll be interviewing her and we'll be showing that next week. So it'll be interesting to see what the boss of Facebook has to say about what their plans are for the future.
It will indeed. Steph, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. This could be the week when wages start rising by more than the cost of living. Steph has more on this.
Yes, morning to you both. We'll find out over the next couple of days when we get the inflation figures and also the wages figures. Inflation today, wages tomorrow. Yes, good morning. For the last 6 years, prices have been going up faster than wages, which basically means that for most people it's felt like they've had a pay cut because they've been paying out more for their bills and for shopping. Now, if you look at the figures, average wages are currently up 1.4% compared to a year ago, whereas inflation is at 1.7%. But that gap is narrowing, so it soon looks like wages will rise faster than the cost of living. But do we feel better off? We asked people in Cardiff.
My wage increase, I think I've had one, doesn't outweigh my council tax increase by any means. So no, at the moment I won't be better off. Maybe next year.
Yeah, no, definitely signs of recovery, but it hasn't filtered through to wages yet.
No, I don't feel like anything's changed. I think the cost of living has gone up, but I don't think our salaries have gone up with it.
I think people have had to tighten their belts. Everything's increased except obviously what people are being paid.
So people there not feeling better off. Well, with me now is Julie White, who's the Managing Director of D-Drill, which makes heavy-duty drills for construction firms. Good morning to you.
Hello, you're right.
So you employ around 100 people.
Correct.
Do you think you're going to be paying them more this year?
Well, as you know, Steph, we were in an industry that has been absolutely devastated by the recession. You know, 5 to 6 years ago, we lost nearly 40% of our turnover. We do concrete cutting. D-Drill does concrete cutting for the construction industry. So we're really heavy end of the construction. So really, right out there, outside now, it's really a roller coaster ride. It's still not levelling down. We still don't know what's happening from 1 month to the end. So I'd love to, but we still don't know what's happening out there, especially in the construction industry.
How do your workers feel about it? A lot of them just glad they've got a job at the moment, given what you say is going on.
I think they all listen to the radio, they all read the newspapers, watch the TV, so they know what we've gone through, and everyone's now bigging it up, but we're still not feeling it in the construction industry because we're still getting house buildings going off. It's really doing well, but the big infrastructure is not going off. The nuclear, the energy, the actual, big infrastructure, rail, we're still not going on, so it's still hesitant out there.
So are you having to do other things to try and keep your workers? Because there's probably, you know, the figures I'm talking about are a national average, so there's some parts that are doing well, and there's probably a danger, isn't there, that some of your workers might think, well, hang on, I'll go to another company where they're going up.
Well, we try and give them stability, we try and guarantee some hours for them, we actually, you know, try and train them so that they are better for when we come out of this recession, because the growth is going out there, you know, slowly in the construction industry, but it will take off in 2015. But let's hope we can keep the men, the good skilled men.
So what will be the turning point for you then? When do you think you will be able to pay them more?
Well, we're looking at it every month. You know, in the construction and in the concrete cutting industry, we actually have a really seasonal, so we have more work in the summer, and it's probably more profitable in the summer. But we're getting squeezed by our clients. You know, people have jobs that we've priced maybe 6 months ago, we're now doing. So if the wage rise goes up, we're going to be really squeezed. The margins that are hardly there are going to be even less. So we are reviewing it all the time. My lads are probably out there waiting for me to tell you we're going to put a pay rise in, but I'd love to, and we review it every time. I really think my men need it now.
So you think, though, it could be next year for you when things start?
Well, later on this year, hopefully next year, but sooner, and I'll give it, no worries.
OK, well, we've got that promise for your workers there. Thank you very much for your time this morning. That's it for me for now.
Yes, I bet they were watching very closely.
Yeah, any hint of the word pay rise?
Thank you.
Thanks very much. 9 minutes to 7 is